Well, excited to have everyone joining. We've got a special guest today, a little bit more about Michael in a few minutes. My name's Kieran Diorio. I'm on the admissions team here at the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, aka IPEC. And welcome to our Energy Explorer series. This is something that we love to produce. It supports a lot of different things. The main overarching goal, I would say, for folks tuning in, your questions, your comments, your thoughts, we're going to share about how you can get those to us. Neat opportunity to talk to a real life coach and get those questions answered and asked, of course. A little bit of background about the Energy Explorer series here. Our mission here at IPEC is to raise the consciousness of the world, one person at a time. So you know what that means. We're certified professional coaches operating in pretty much every stack of coaching out there in the world, many different directions our grads take. We're also a community of coaches with a lot of heart and a lot of energy about supporting and being supported, and a lot of amazing stories. And we'll dig into one of those stories here today. So, on that tack today, we're going to explore the concept of coaching presence in its many forms and what it means inside a coaching agreement or our work with our colleagues or our families. These are things, speaking for myself, the concept of presence changed me as an employee, as a coach, as a dad. So it has very profound impact and effects in all the areas of our lives. Presence, not just being there physically, not just being there temporally, rather being there, actively listening, holding that space open, that objective place that really supports your performance, growth, all the things folks really want to get out of coaching. So we'll go deep on that. We'll talk about results as well. How Michael's deep dive coaching methods have really supported his work, and how he uses those every day in his role and in his own practice as well. So a little bit of background about our special guest, Michael Laudisio, here today. Ohio State Buckeye undergrad, right? Not too shabby. Yeah. And then master's from Gonzaga in organizational leadership, right?
Yes,
if I have it correctly.
Yes.
Yep. So coming from a real track around that development place. In addition to being a core energy coach, I think it's interesting, Michael, you're leadership team and development director in the energy sector. So I always thought that was an interesting little connection between the two. And I think about our first interaction. We first touched base, I think it was back in 2021.
Yes.
You were just exploring back then, and since then you've gone through the training and recently wrapped up Mod 3 and trucking right along here. So need to have you, and great to have you on this journey together. So really good stuff there. So hey, let's start off with some questions, and maybe let me just pull up this section here to make sure I'm seeing it. Okay, thank you for these. We're talking about coaching presence today, and it can mean different things to different people. Michael, if you could maybe share a little bit about presence and its connection to active listening, and maybe even some of what you see as the results of getting to that very present place, what it might mean. Maybe start there.
Yeah, sure. Appreciate the opportunity. I really love being with IPEC, and so the presence, being present, is I've learned a great deal through IPEC coaching, and it's just really being there for your client. And it sounds simple, but it isn't so simple, right? It really is an opportunity, as you learn through the program, is to be there for them. And I would offer a great motto that IPEC offers is the client's agenda is your agenda. So when you go into a coaching session, it's so powerful because the other aspect is no judgment. So when you have the opportunity to be in a session where you come in with the idea and the mindset that you're there not to judge whatever the client or the topic, and just be there for them and to really listen to what they have to offer, it provides a different perspective for you as a coach. And it really affords you the opportunity to really, I'll say, help them and align with them in where they're at. And what's really powerful through IPEC is another motto that they have, and that's all answers lie within. And by being present and I'll say fully engaged with listening, you have the opportunity to really allow them to discover the answers that lie within them to, whatever the challenge may be for them. And I think it takes a little bit of learning. It's not something that you just naturally do, especially the listening part. But it really, as you immerse through the coaching program and you find some wonderful peers and some tremendous coaching that are part of IPEC, you really get a better understanding of how to be present and truly be there for the client. And I've seen it work firsthand. I felt it, and it's a powerful opportunity as a coach.
You said something so resonant for me there, Michael, about the learning required to support that objective place where the only agenda we're concerned about is the clients. And that's the magic of coaching. And also for me, that was an unlearning process. I was very accustomed to being rewarded for having the answers, and that's the way a lot of the world works. A-okay. But in coaching, that has to be set aside. And to your point, we're finding the answers within that client. If I give someone some data or an answer, it's information. But when we get what's inside them, that's tends to be true, and that's something we can really work with as a coach. Yeah. Great point on that. The answers are inside.
Yeah. I was just going to say, a motto that I've had that I've heard over time is, by being there for them, allow them to experience their own victories. And instead of imparting your wisdom or your insights or your thoughts, allow them, as they discover it, allow them to experience that, and I'll say enjoy it and be motivated from it. And then you're there, right? You support it, you share it with them. It's a support system that we're there for them. And that's powerful to really see that. And you feel it, even though it may be virtual. You feel that energy shift when they recognize they've discovered some answers that maybe they didn't realize were in their conscious. And through your questioning, it's able to be revealed, and it's a real opportunity to share it with them.
Yeah. You kind of bring me to that moment where client lands somewhere, something they said, something they discovered internally, and it clicks. And at that moment, you both know they're never going to be the same. It never gets old. That moment is, I'm getting chills just talking about it now, because it's such a powerful thing to serve someone on, for sure. Yeah. All right, we've got another live question here. Thanks for this, Lynn. How do I help my client get to the heart of their question or desires, even when they are not sure what they want? What are some good questions? Wow, awesome. Thank you. Yep. Thoughts, Michael?
Well, I don't know if I learned, and this is something I struggle with, there is no perfect question. I used to be caught up in that. It's really, what I've learned through IPEC is really tapping into your intuition and really kind of getting a feel for the person. I know it sounds kind of, I'll say generic, but it really is. I've learned it more and more, that how powerful your intuition can be, and just trying to get that feel from them from an energy perspective. And usually, is it the right question? It is, because I asked it, and that's what I've kind of learned, not to second guess and just go with it. And I think what's powerful in this coaching is you really have the opportunity to ask people how they feel about it, not how they think about it or what do they think, but what do they feel? And I think what I've learned in the IPEC coaching, right, it's a combination of both the thoughts, but really the feeling. And, Kieran knows this. I had a really good experience here at my work. I was working with I'll call it a client, but it was a peer. And I could sense that they needed some assistance. So I asked if they wouldn't mind if I coached them, if you could say it that way, or meet with them. And it was a real challenging question, people about potentially losing people in their organization. And they were very technical in their approach. And then I finally asked them, well, how do they feel about this whole situation in regards to the losing the headcount? And they kind of gave me an odd look, like, why are you asking me how I feel about this? And they thought, all right, well, I'll share that, not knowing, what I was really looking for. And, I'll say several minutes later, they were realizing that their issue was much more significant once they realized they tapped into their feelings about it. And in the end, they were extremely gratified, because they were underestimating the impact of this decision they were going to do. But it was all because I asked them how they felt about it. And so I'd offer to you, tap into those feelings, because as you sit in that moment as a coach and be present with them, they tend to reveal themselves. And it's just through those simple questions. It's not an elaborate question. It's just simple. How do you feel about that? What makes you feel that way? And it starts to uncover some layers, and in my mind, allows the conscious to come in a little more present, and they start understanding maybe what their issues are, or some answers to whatever they're trying to solve.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Feelings, Lynn's question, the client may not know what he or she wants.
Right.
The feelings might be a path in there. They are core thoughts, core emotions, core behaviors. That's the methodology here. All valuable signals on the dashboard of what that client might want. It sounds like you tapped into some feelings that were connected to maybe a higher or highest desire, or a value that's in place, something to be honored, maybe something that was being challenged by the situation. And of course, a lot of heavy duty emotions going to come up when we have a key value that's being challenged or dishonored in a situation.
Yep.
So I think you hit the nail on the head. When in doubt, ask. And the emotions, such a great point you bring up. And I'll speak for myself. I'm a little bit older school. Back when I was coming up in the work world, for example, emotions were something maybe taken out or not to be part of the work world. I'm not judging that, but that was kind of the feel. But the truth is, whether they're verbalized or not, they are there, and they are part of the equation. And to your point, Michael, they're a valuable signal. It's definitely going to relay where a client is, and might just point to what they want when we dig a little bit. Yeah. And I just want to bring this back up because you said it so eloquently. It doesn't have to be complex. Simple question, right? Naturally curious, and then the client reveals him or herself. Bingo. All right, got another one here. Let's see here. Thanks for your question, Gloria, here. Oh, great question. Working as a fixer for decades, how do I most effectively not fix or rest in my victory versus the clients? Thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great one. I tended to be there, and it's a battle. We sometimes fall prey to wanting to do that. And I think it all depends where your clients are. I'm a little bit unique. My clients are actually many of my coworkers at the company that I do it. So there are times that I do offer some insights that are relevant to where I work, because I have, I'll say, a vast experience here. I think if the challenge is really, if you go in knowing you're there for the client and fighting that urge, really, if you can do that active listening, right, and you really are there to be compassionate and understand how they're feeling and all, I think if you go with that and know it's their agenda, it really helps you, I'll say, nullify your instinct to want to fix. And that's really, it takes practice. There is not a perfect world here. And I've learned this over time. It was when I went through the first module and we were doing a lot of practicing, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to give my opinion so bad. But the fact is, that's not helping them, right? And so it kind of a motto that I have, or it's out there, right? The person you're dealing with, they're the expert of their own lives. Yeah. So you are not their expert. And you might have insights, but right, we all have our own journey. And we're all biased by our own filters and experiences in life. So while you may think it's a great advice that worked for you, the challenge is it may not resonate with them. So you really go in that mindset, how do I help them, and allow them again to come up with the answers. And if they don't, that's okay. You work through continue to question it. And you know what? I think that will reveal a lot, but it takes practice. I will tell you that in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. And you brought up some things for me about, I think it's coming back to presence. As a coach, you got to be comfortable with silence, right? And not easy. And in those awkward, what do they call them, pregnant moments. It's like, oh geez, it's so quiet. What's going on? A lot of times someone will be processing something powerful, and if we have the guts to wait it out and trust, that's when things tend to sprout, and back to things being revealed, like you mentioned earlier. It's often a process of just holding, and then the things can happen. Great point. Yeah. Okay. All right, got questions rolling in, so we're just going to go hodgepodge here, if that's okay. Let's see here. Okay, thank you, Mary. Now that you've completed Mod 3, greatest revelations for you compared to from when you started? How have you evolved?
Well, a great question. I will tell you is just, again, the worry about asking the right questions. I would offer to everybody, you don't have to be an expert in any of the topics that are brought up. You just have to be there and be present, listen to them, be curious, as Kieran said. That curiosity matters, and be genuine, right? You want to be there for them. I'll give a quick example where I've worked with clients, right? It's often, there isn't this big epiphany. Often it's little victories, and that is the liberation for them. And they, I work with someone, it was just setting aside 10 minutes to take a walk, and they struggled with that. And you just, again, you asked her the questions, and they discovered a better way on how they could accomplish that. That meant the world to them. And, we shared in it. I didn't come up with the answer. They figured it out. But again, I think what I learned is just celebrate those little victories. Keep on practicing, because it is a practice, and it starts becoming a little more natural as you, like in anything, when you practice. What I've learned is to believe in myself and my intuition, because it pays off, and it matters. And I think I feel better. I'm a better person, and I will tell you, and I kind of wrote that down through this coaching. I've become a better version of myself, and that has allowed me to be a better coach. And I've learned a lot of reflection through the IPEC coaching. And I really have, I'll say, got in touch with my conscious, with my beliefs, through a lot of reflection. And it just makes you, I believe, a better person. I will tell you, the wonderful feedback I have received at my work is people have told me that I have found my calling. And I've been here for 25 years. And it's through my coaching that people are now saying that to me. And it means a great deal to me. But again, it's through this IPEC program that has really bolstered a better understanding of who I am, and that what I offer is, I'll say, good enough. And it's allowed me to be a coach that I wanted to be, and a better coach actually than I originally thought I could be, because of what I've learned. And a lot of it's through peers. The peer support system in IPEC is phenomenal. I will tell you, I've met so many great people that are now my friends. They're not just my peers, they're my friends. And I think IPEC coaching allows you to build relationships. And it's something that has really resonated with me as I've gone through the coaching process.
Yeah, you got me curious, Michael. Would you share a little bit more on intuition, your take on it?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm no expert on it. I think as you go through this program, again, we want to be good at what we do. And so you're always trying to, at least in the beginning, trying to think of that great question. And I think you just go with your instinct and say, hey, why do you feel that way? Or what's bringing that up for you? It's a very simple question. I will tell you, just doing it, you never know. And it may be a simple answer, but then you ask the next question. And again, what I have experienced is it starts unraveling. And maybe little walls or little, I'll say, barriers in people's mindset. And then as you start tapping into it, you just ask those questions. And again, there's no right or wrong question. You just go with what you believe, what you feel in your mind, if you can say it that way, in your mind, what drives you to ask that question. And my experience has been, it has revealed a lot in a lot of the clients that I didn't expect something to come out, and you go, and inside you're saying, wow, that's powerful. So again, just trust yourself, and you'll learn through the process, and you'll become more comfortable with believing the question you ask is the right question, whatever that is.
Yeah, I think we got this one in Mod 1. When in doubt, blurt it out. Right?
Yes.
There's something there, and for me, I think intuition is such a powerful tool, and it's something that I think the outside world maybe conditions us away from. It is a path into the unknown, and for me, when the doubt comes up, I mean, I know I'm having an intuitive hit. I'm like, okay, must be my intuition saying there's something here.
Yes.
So yeah, that's I can't say that it's any more simple than that, but yeah.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. There you go.
Yeah, trust yourself. I mean, it's okay if they say, hey, I'm not sure what you mean. Ask another question. It's okay. And that's, you work through the process and be curious. And it's just amazing some of the insights that are revealed because of it. And that's the wonderful part of IPEC and really learning the process, the coaching process through IPEC.
Yeah, good stuff. An interesting thing to note, a lot of the folks we work with, they may not have looked inside for a long time, right? This process is very new. If you asked me what a coach was the first time I was a coach, I would say, you mean my baseball coach or my wrestling coach? What are we talking about here? This can be very novel for folks. So that's actually a great time to trust your intuition, because there's something novel happening for both of you in that moment.
Yeah, it really is powerful. And really, like you said, Kieran, is just getting to try to know someone and understand them a little bit. We often, in this busy world that we all live in, people don't take the time. And so being able to just take the time and ask some simple questions about how they feel, it's just not we're not normally day to day. I work in the energy sector, and it's a very technical field. And I've been saying for a while now to people, we're not in the technical field. We're in the people business. We work in a technical field, but we're in the people business. And I'll say it behooves each one of us to make a better effort to try to get to know people and build those relationships. And I think through coaching, we're afforded that opportunity. And I've experienced some really great highs through taking on this coaching, just helping someone in the small victories. And really, as I mentioned, I feel like I'm a better person because of what I've learned. And it motivates me to continue my journey. And then with the idea that maybe I can help someone in their journey, just through asking questions and just being there to support them.
Yeah, coaching opens up the client and coach. Yeah, two-way street.
Yep.
All right, more questions here. Let's see. All right, hang on. Okay. Okay, this is, interesting question here. I'm a spirit-filled Christian, guided by power of the Holy Spirit and a very intuitive style when communicating with others. I'm thinking of reopening my business and offering career coaching, resume writing in a faith-based way, combined with personal coaching. Your thoughts are appreciated here. Maybe, let's see here. Hang on, there's a lot here. Let me just get this all in one place. Okay. Earlier, I'd outpriced myself, but now I'd like to offer my services at about $50 an hour. Your thoughts here are appreciated. Sorry, I butchered that question. There's just a lot to take in. Let's see here. So I guess the question is on hourly rates. The question is on, where we meet clients, price point wise. Any thoughts there? I'm happy to take this one too, if that's okay too.
Yeah, Kieran, you may have more certainly on, I'll say, the objective part of the coaching business.
Sure.
More articulate with that.
Yeah, happy to roll with that one. Out there in the world, I would say there are a lot of different ways to deliver services. There are a lot of different ways to build a business. I would say that coaching is a modality. We have some information on this on our website. If you go to the main website and hit starting a coaching practice in the FAQ, it actually shares what coaches earn per hour based on category of coaching. So you're going to see a range of anywhere of about $300 an hour all the way down to about $200 an hour as reported to an independent third party. So just to your questions, and I'd say relative to some of the other data out there might be a little low, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. To me, I think there's a price for everyone. There is a price point that supports a practice, for example. There's also a price point that supports a coaching, the client's engagement. So I think, like my coach told me when I was first starting out, what's the highest amount you charge? Add 25% and start there. A simple rule of thumb there, just to push me a little bit. And also, I would say this too. When we have a price point that's appreciable, we're usually setting up conditions for a very engaged client. Now that could be different for everybody. I was coaching a younger person earlier in the year, and I asked them the most they'd pay, and it was a certain number, and I said, okay, what would be really painful? And it was about $20 more than that per hour. And that's the number that we went with, just to make them really bought in, to make sure they were fully committed to changing and ready to change it. One of the other things we might do to qualify a client in terms of being really able to participate in the program and learn and grow through it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with what you laid out there with those numbers. If they are what engage your client and that's what you need as a coach, all A-okay. And you may find over time your hourly rate goes up. If you have some goals around revenue as a coach, A-okay. And one thing a lot of coaches do, if they still want to serve, they might flex prices based on client, or they might do pro bono. My 9-session package is a certain price point now. I do free coaching for some folks that are connected to a nonprofit organization, as a way of giving back and just keeping everything balanced from a service perspective. So I hope that helps, and I think you're on the right path. Long story short, I take that number, add 25%, and see what happens from there. Yeah, thanks for your question, though. All right, we've got a few more coming in here. All right. Oh yeah, and just pivoting from the last question, where do we go on the website to see the rates per hour? Yep, if you go to ipeccoaching.com, there's a banner across the top. There's something called program details. Then there'll be a drop down, and then you'll see a starting coaching practice, and then get in the FAQ, and you'll see those figures in there. I think that's it. You're testing my knowledge of the website, but I'm pretty sure that's where it will take you. All right, we got a great question here. Pivots around coaching and therapy, and I won't say versus. I do think coaching and therapy, they're both along the continuum of human growth and development. They just happen to be in different parts of that continuum, if you will. How have you found referring folks out to be helpful for therapy while avoiding their feelings of desertion or rejection? Yeah. Have you had any personal experience there? Or I'm happy to take that one too.
Yeah, I have not referred anyone out. I've had a client who's also participating in therapy, and we've been able to balance that. So I'll say 2 different genres where it hasn't crossed over at this point. It's worked well.
Yeah, I'm happy to provide a lens here. I think you'll see some info on this on our website. In therapy, for example, folks are moving from a dysfunctional place in some aspect of their life to a functional place. All good, very, very good work, very necessary. In coaching, folks are moving from a functional place to an optimal place. So it is a different point on that continuum of growth and development. It also means that someone has to be ready for coaching. Coaching is an action-oriented modality, meaning we're gonna have an eye toward progress, in each session, and obviously throughout the engagement. We're going to have an eye on taking steps, even if they're baby steps. You said something so important, Michael, about small scale victories, right? This is how adults tend to grow. Like adults will they'll try something that they think will benefit them and that they can do. So, if what they can do is very small, okay, that's it. But it does have that forward orientation to it. So that means someone has to be in a place where they're able to engage in coaching, right? It's going to have an action orientation. So, if when we bump into a situation where maybe someone is a therapeutic reference, I have some therapists that I refer out to if someone's just not ready. Usually, we'll catch that at the door when I gauge someone's readiness for coaching, when we kind of look at where they are and what's happening in their world. Sometimes it might come up once someone's engaged in coaching. Maybe they're not showing up to the sessions, or maybe they're not doing the assignments that they crafted for themselves, in a particular session, falling through the next session. All okay. It does happen. These are humans. And when we get to that point, either on the front end or in series, I don't think it's rejection in any way. It's just an assessment of someone being ready. Coaching, we're here to serve. We're here to help clients get their goals. If we're just putting them through a series of sessions and there's no benefit to them, that's not serving them. In fact, they might be better served putting that time and those dollars into a therapeutic experience. All okay. So, I wouldn't see it as a rejection thing. I would see it more as just really being an advocate for the client and making sure that whoever we're working with is really in a place to benefit from the work that they're engaging. Yeah.
Kieran, if I can offer this, what's wonderful about IPEC, there's weekly webinars as part of the whole program. And one of them is specifically coaching versus therapy and balancing the understanding of how they both fit potentially for someone. And I learned a lot from that. I mean, in really trying to make sure, in fact, I had a situation where a family member, I realized, I thought, this is therapy. It's not coaching. I'm not going to be able to, it wasn't I'll say my opportunity to help them in that regard, because it was viewed, as I learned this, it was more of a therapy opportunity. So do know, as part of the learning that IPEC offers, there's weekly webinars. They're available. It doesn't always have to be live. You can watch them afterwards, but very informative about all the different, I'll say, nuances with different professions such as that. It's really I'll say a whole education that goes on as you go through the program.
Yeah, great point. I remember feeling really tight about that when I was starting, because most coaches have the heart of service. We really do care. But it's one of those things, to your point, we learn about it, we experience it, we tend to know, and all part of the process. Yeah.
Yes. Kieran, I wanted to get back to Desta. I wanted to say, as part of your question about restarting your business, of course, my instinct is it's a great coaching opportunity to start asking questions on what's your feeling, what's driving you to revisit that. And I'm not being certainly cynical. I just think it's an opportunity to reflect a little bit and say, all right, what's really driving me to make that call on revisiting it. And so there's an opportunity there to kind of practice a little bit of what we're talking about, and just visit it. I'll say visit it, reflect on it, and or reach out to a friend or somebody. Certainly reach out to me if you want, just to explore it, just to make sure maybe you're on the right path and it is where you need to be. But have that purposeful dialogue, and maybe reach out to a friend, reflect, or reach out to one of us. Just say, hey, here's what I was thinking, and then go from there.
Yeah, spoken like a real coach. 100%. All right, a couple more here, Michael. Thanks for your question. Do you keep clients' profiles for the coaching process, and do you calculate your coaching hours on log sheets?
I lean to you, Kieran.
Sure. Yeah. I when it comes to the logging of hours, I use the ICF's rubric for tracking all my coach experience hours. They set up there are a bunch of data elements in there. It's very simple. Nothing personal or confidential is on the log. It's all very almost de-identified, just with some of the basics there. So that's something that I think you can get from the ICF website, something we provide here when folks are on the training track at IPEC. So yep, I definitely use the log. And when it comes to profiles, I'm not quite sure, maybe clarify what you mean by profile, but for me, when I intake a new client, I usually use a questionnaire just to kind of get some basics if they want to complete it. Some folks are like, I just want to get started. I don't want to go, just can we, okay. But some folks will take the time to complete a questionnaire, and that will kind of get a feel for what they really want to work on, what they might be tolerating in their career, their job, or whole experience. Some things that maybe have worked well in the past. I have a couple zingers on there. I like to find out, when they feel like they're operating at their highest energetic presentation, like what's going on, like what are you doing when time flies, things like that. So I kind of get a little into the energy side of things on the questionnaire. Other parts that would inform me as a coach around that client and their now. We use a variety of wheels as coaching tools to kind of assess their where they are in different aspects of their life. Part of the training here, we have terrific assessment called the Energy Leadership Index, which basically shows me that client energetically, core thoughts, core emotions, core behaviors, day to day, as well as under stress. So that's a very useful tool. And a lot of the things, I have a values assessment that I use. That's something also provided here at IPEC that breaks down core values of a client and then kind of to what degree they're living them. So that's a very useful tool. So if that's a profile, those are things, all things I bring into the coaching experience with someone to first inform and then guide and shoot, we can even validate results. We can assess them post with the ELI, and it ties to a satisfaction survey in their life. We'll know if they've done the work and we've done the work and how things go. So yeah, great question. Thank you. Here we go. And I just want to be mindful of time. We got about 5 minutes left here. Chrissia, I'm coaching independently and just starting out. How is a good way to find clients? Want me to roll this one, Michael?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So, many paths. I would say the first thing, and this is the question of the ages for all coaches, like, how do I get clients? I don't care if you're an internal coach, someone on Instagram, whatever the flavor might be, it's what's on everybody's mind. Certainly going to serve our practice growth, and my coach would tell me, if you're not making a living, you're not making a difference. So if we want to serve, we have to find the people to serve. So, a question that's really coming from a good place at its core. I would say the first thing is letting people know what you're doing. I've tried all the different formats, eventually found what was most resonant for my ideal client, most resonant for me as a coach. And I think there are many paths and they're all valid in their way. That's going to depend on who you are and where your clients are, things like that. But I commonly share the stories in my admissions conversations. I was really touched by how many people were willing to help me when I said, hey, I'm doing this and this is what it's about. And don't forget that. I think, whatever our role is, if you're a private practice coach or you have an internal role like Michael, you're going to have an ideal client space, right? There's going to be a strike zone of people who are ready for coaching and resonant, and they have to know you're out there. So like, start there. It sounds so simple. It's probably the thing I probably had the most fear of when I was first starting out, because I was like, oh, geez, I'm leaving this and doing this, and no, what are people going to think? And all that stuff. But that's the first step. And then, from there, I would say a good thing to do if you have some time, because the wonderful thing about coaching is it's wide open. There are thousands of things you can do. That's also the challenge. So, guidance, maybe if you're just starting out, plant some seeds now for yourself around ideal client. If you're thinking of having your own practice, just use that as the chassis. You're gonna, it's helpful to understand ideal client from a demographic standpoint, age, occupation, things like that. Also from a psychographic standpoint, like what pains them? What do they want to solve? What do they see as the biggest opportunities? And I would say the tighter you can go there, the better off you're going to be. Like when you know who your ideal client is, then you're going to have a good idea of where they are, and then you can go there. It could be Instagram, maybe. For me, my ideal client isn't doing a lot of digital plays. They're going to be more in an audience. I can still reach them virtually, but they might be connected to an association that's chock full of my ideal clients that's looking for some programming. I do some workshops there that always springs clients. So just know there's everything from being a Facebook star to some traditional things that when you know who you're looking for, then you're going to know where they are. Then you can speak authentically and consistently into that niche a little bit. And that's a great way to get clients. So many, many paths there. But I would start with letting people know what you're doing. That's the first thing that you got to do. Yeah. And boy, we are coming up on time. I think we got to everything out here. Let's see here. Oh, we got one more coming back. Desta, thanks again for this follow-up question. Staying in your lane, coaches are not counselors, correct? Correct. Yeah, those are different modalities. And again, these are people. You might have somebody, to Michael's point, you might have someone who's in therapy and also being coached. That's manageable, but we're not counselors, and it's not a clinical modality. It's a different modality there. Yeah. All right, 2 minutes left. I'm just gonna say thank you, Michael, for joining. This was great to talk to you and great to get your insights. I'm going to say thank you to everybody who joined us today. And I do have a little bit of housekeeping. Let me pull this up here. I'm like Mr. Magoo here today. Sorry, folks. Let's see here. We have, all right, just so everyone knows, if you'd like to get in touch with Michael, I think Justin's going to share some information in the chat below, so you can reach out to him there if that's okay, Michael. Good to go?
Yes, certainly.
Awesome. If you have any questions about coaching or coach training, I'm always available, as is the whole admissions coach team here. Clarity first, always. That's the goal in our role this year. So coach training, of course. You want to talk about the world of coaching or something, feel free to book some time with me. You have contact information down below as well for that. And then outside of that, I've already said it, but let me wrap up with my thanks, Michael. So nice to have you and great to chat with you. And hey, thank you all who joined us for those great questions and spending some time with us. It's really our pleasure. And that's it for now. We'll catch you next time. Thanks all.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kieran.
Thank you. Bye-bye.